Hey there, and welcome to this final lesson in the expression series here inside of After Effects. And what I want to show you now is just some ways that you can work with expressions to make your workflow a little bit quicker. And we'll just start here with like this lightning, right? So we've got a very simple type set up here. Maybe it's for a band called the Black Sax. And a lot of times you see lightning in examples like this. You see it like maybe quickly rotating or quickly moving. So we're going to do let's just do a wiggle expression here, and we'll say it's, oh, something like 5 times per second at a rate of 30. I'm actually going to turn this to half res so it moves a little bit quicker. Maybe not so much on the rotation. And maybe we can do the position. And let's say the position is a wiggle transformation of 10 times at 20. Let's see what that looks like. So just, simple. Go ahead and set my out point here so I can render all this. Simple little animation. But let's say that we like the expressions we've set up on this little lightning layer. We want to apply it to these little lightning layers. How do we do that? So it's really easy. So one way you could do that is you could just take your rotation and position properties, and you could open up these and you could copy the position and Alt Option click here, paste. Same with the rotation. Option Alt click, Command V. And now it's, copy and paste. We can do this for all the different layers. It works just fine. Let's say we want to do the same thing for the stars, right? So maybe like this little star here. Where are you at? This star here. Let's make the transparency of the star. Let's do a little wiggle expression here. And we'll say wiggle. Let's do 10 times 50. Let's see how that looks. Maybe it's a little bit quicker. So again, we could take the same thing. We could take the opacity expression, copy that one. We could take star 2, Alt or Option click on the opacity, paste. There we go. So now we've got star 2, which is this little guy here. It's got the same expression from star 1. And this works. So that's one very simple way to copy and paste your expressions. But let's say you don't want to copy and paste expressions. Let's say you're changing expressions. You don't know what's going to work. And it's going to be very time consuming to copy and paste everything, right? So what can we do if that's the case? So let's go back to our lightning and let's turn off these properties here and we'll turn off our properties here. So just to simplify things, let's just take a look at lightning 1 and lightning 2. So now what we can do is we can take like the rotation, okay? And we can Option or Alt click on the rotation. And we can take this little tool here called the pick whip. Remember I said earlier I was going to come back to this? This is called the pick whip. I can take this right down here to the rotation, let go, and there's a expression that was written here based upon lightning 1. So if I click outside this, now all of a sudden this little lightning 2 has picked up those same wiggle expression from lightning 1, okay, in terms of rotation. So now if I go into the rotation here and just keep these things a little bit more simple, you can see here that rotation of lightning 2 has a different expression than lightning 1. So all I have to do now is go in here and let's say change the frequency to 50 and the amount to 50. And when I change lightning 1, lightning 2 is going to automatically update as well. So you can see now they both are referencing the same expression. And you can do this for any layer. I could take lightning 5, rotation, Option or Alt, click, pick whip back to the original expression, which is this one down here. Let go. And you're going to see this guy now is using the same type of expression. Okay, so let me show you a third way that you could do this. So I'm going to Alt or Option click to turn off the rotation values of these. And another way you could do this is I could select my rotation here. I could go up to Edit, Copy with Property Links. Okay, and that's going to copy this property link. And all I have to do is go over here to Rotation of Lightning 2 and go Edit, Paste, and the expression is there. I could go back up to Lightning 5 here, Edit, Paste, same thing again. So this is actually a little bit quicker process than pick whipping. Okay, so let's jump into another composition here so I can show a couple more examples here. So in this example, we have a box 1 and box 2. So box 2 is right here, and there is a simple position keyframe that brings the box to the top of the composition and then back down. On box 1, which is this guy, we have a simple rotation, which goes from 0 to 180 degrees. So if I preview these, we can see what's going on here. So let's say now that we want box 2 here to actually reference the rotation of this box. How do we do that? Well, it's really easy. I'm gonna hit R for rotation, Option or Alt click, and I'm gonna pick whip right here to the rotation property, let go. And now it's maintaining its position keyframes, but it's rotating following the box 1 rotation. So if box 1 all of a sudden jumps up to, let's say, 360 degrees, box 2 is going to make its rotation 360 degrees as well. We'll go ahead and change that back to 180. And let's do something else here with the boxes. So let's say we want box 2 to always reference box 1's color. We can set up an expression for that, right? So let's go to box 1. Let's open the contents. Let's open up the fill. And there's our fill color. So now in box 2, we can do it two different ways. We can open up the contents here, find the fill color. We can Alt or Option click here and pick whip down to the fill color here. Or we can go into the fill color of box 1, go to Edit, Copy with Property Links, and go up to box 2 and say Paste. And it may not look like anything is going on yet, but as soon as I change box 1's color to something like pink or green or orange, box 2 references box 1's color at all time. So you can do a lot of different things. You could do that with the stroke, with the fill. You could do that with the size, position, roundness, all of this. Copy with property links is a very powerful way to copy expressions and to paste expressions on multiple layers that can reference other layers. Something else you can do here is because box 1, let's actually go to our effect. If you go to Effect Expression Controls, there's several controls here you can use for expressions. I'm not going to get into all of them, but we will do a few of them. So again, let's go back to box 1. Let's add an expression to the original one. This is the one, if we change the color here, it changes everything else, right? It changes the other box it's referencing it. So let's Alt or Option click on this color. Let's pick whip all the way up here to this expression control. Click outside the box. And now, instead of having to go into this box 1 and changing the color, I can just go up here to the color control. I can change it here at any time, and it's going to affect everything here on the screen. Pretty cool stuff. Also use things like slider controls. So let me actually duplicate a box here. Let me hit U on my keyboard, turn off all the position keyframes. Let's go ahead and reset this box, turn off our rotation. So now it's not doing anything. Let's open up position. Let's add a wiggle expression here. And let's make it pretty intense. Let's say 10 and 50, okay? So what can we do here to control this? Let's say we want our animation to start with no wiggle, and then it increases, and then it goes back down to 0. How would we do that? Well, with an expression, it's happening all the time, right? So there's got to be a way to control it. Well, there thankfully is an easy way to control it. And that's by applying an effect expression control. So you can apply it to this layer. You could apply it to a null layer if you want to do that. But I'm just going to keep the effect applied to the same layer. So we'll go down to expression controls, and we're going to do a layer slider control. And for the slider control, let's just actually rename this. We're going to hit return, and we'll call this frequency. And let's actually duplicate it, and let's call this one amplitude. And we've got our wiggle expression down here, and I told you that this is frequency. The first number is frequency, the second number is amplitude. So all we have to do is highlight whatever number is in here for frequency, and we're going to pick whip right up here to the frequency slider. Then we're going to highlight the second number, which is our amplitude, and we're going to pick whip right up to this slider. Okay, so now if I preview, nothing's happening because our slider and our amplitude are both turned down to 0. So let's turn up our slider, our frequency slider. Again, now it's happening at 12 times per second, but there's no amplitude. So as soon as I turn this amplitude on, there it goes. It's starting to happen, right? Let's do a much higher amplitude. Now it's just, a lot of amplitude going on. We could turn down the frequency, so it's much less. But this is a way to keyframe everything so that we can control what's going on. So we're going to set keyframes here, go down to my layer, hit U to reveal the keyframes. And if we go back to the beginning here, we can just change these to 0 if we want. Go to the end, change this back to 0 again. And if I preview this, you can see it increases and then it stops. It increases and then it stops. So it's an easy way to control how much is happening of an expression. We can also do things like, let's go ahead and turn this expression back off. And let's go ahead and delete these. And let's open up rotation. And let's add a expression control to this, which would be angle control. And all we have to do is Alt Option click on the rotation, pick whip up here to our angle control, move outside, and now I can control the angle with the effect box. So this is really handy if you don't want to jump down into your timeline and have to find the rotation if you're controlling, multiple boxes at the same time. To give you an example, so if I, let's duplicate this box, and let's actually take off this expression. We'll move it over here to the side. We'll move this guy over here to the side so we can see a little bit better. So after it's been duplicated, this is a great example of using the angle control on a null layer. So I can control both layers without one of these being selected, right? So I'll go and I'll add a new null layer here. And to this null layer, we'll add the angle control. We're actually so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna lock this window so that this effect screen stays open all the time. We're gonna go to this box 3, we're gonna pick whip up to the angle. Box 4, Option Alt click, pick whip up to the angle. And now if I just control the null angle control, it controls both layers simultaneously. Pretty cool stuff. So that is the power of expression controls. There's a lot more inside the expression controls, like the checkbox control, which can turn on or off an effect or anything like that. We've talked about color, there's layers, there's point controls, and we also talked about slider controls. So I invite you to dive in deeper into expressions if that's something you want to explore more. But that's going to do it for this lesson on expressions, and it's time to move on.